Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, the moment has arrived. Swamp Kings, live on Netflix, August 23rd. The untold story of the 2006 through 2009 Urban Meyer National Championship team will be hitting box office. Well, it'll be hitting Netflix. This is a series that has been highly anticipated going all the way back to last year. I remember they were doing some shooting, some work on that. Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow, they were at the Swamp about January last year, possibly in talks of making this video. So I haven't heard much more if these guys will be in the documentary, but I do recall those guys being at the Swamp at that time, and that's when the original noise of this documentary started. So you would have to expect those guys to be in it for a little bit. If you are a Gator fan or even just a college football fan in general, you are fired up for this documentary because you know, one, how great that team was, the amount of talent that was on that team, but just in Gainesville at that time was absolutely insane. To be at the University of Florida from 2005 to 2009 was an absolute hoot. The amount of star talent studs that went to University of Florida at that time is unreal. You had the likes of Joe Noah, Corey Brewer, Al Horford, who's still playing. He was just in the Eastern Conference Finals. Aaron Hernandez, Brandon James, Percy Harvin, Tim Tebow, Chris Leak, Brandon Spikes, Major Wright. The amount of star-studded talent that was there at one time is just hard to really comprehend because some of those guys are still impacting our sports to this day. A lot of them have gone and passed, but a lot of them some of them are still playing. Like I said, Al Horford being one of those guys. So what can we expect from this documentary? Is it going to be good? Is it going to hold punches? Is it going to give us everything? Well, here's a few things that I did some research on. What I found out is back in January of last year, Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer visited Florida, and that's when the noise for this documentary started. So I haven't heard much of those two guys being involved since then, but when it first started, when all the noise started getting hyped, these guys were originally involved. So I would expect those two, which you have to have those two guys involved, or this story really loses its pizzazz if those two guys aren't commenting on how their perspective from the entire situation was. The other thing we can confirm, and this is kind of what got all the noise started, is linebacker Brandon Seiler. He tweeted out the message that he received saying, "Hey, we're good to go. August 23rd will be the release date of Swamp Kings. We're going to send you a hoodie. We hope to have you participate in this and help promote this channel. Once we get a little bit closer to it, we'll be in touch." So we know that he's going to be involved. We don't know who else got that email. We just know that he got it. He's really excited about it. So two big things: linebacker, quarterback, and coach. Those are the three that we know not for a fact, because Urban and Tebow, I haven't heard much of, but Urban has been finding himself more into the media lately, so maybe that's a ploy to kind of really get this story going. I don't see Urban not want to be a part of this. What's he got going on? I'm sure he'll want to say his piece and say what he has to say about one of his two national championship teams, so I'm sure we'll be hearing from him. Now, again, because there is so much to unpack here, there's a lot to unpack with this story, obviously with the crime that was involved, obviously with the success that was involved. The reason why this is so exciting is because of the turmoil, not necessarily because of the success in the team. Unfortunately, that's just how this world goes. So you know there's going to be juice, there's going to be cheddar there. Well, this is going to be under the category of Untold Stories on Netflix. To kind of give you some comparison, the Manti Te'o story, if you haven't seen it, it's a phenomenal story. It's really well told. It's really well done. Was told underneath that category. And I would give that story extreme credibility in the fact that Manti Te'o was in it, the person that catfished him was in it, both family members were in it, and other family people that were involved with that situation spoke during the interview, on top of the messages between Manti Te'o and the person that catfished him were all involved. So the team that put this together really did their due diligence to make sure that they didn't leave any stone unturned. There was even a news source that broke the news that really kind of put Manti Te'o in a really dark light. They even spoke on it. So I don't know how they maneuvered their way around it, because everybody was kind of throwing blows at one another during that. It was a very juicy, detailed story. I didn't walk away thinking, well, I needed to hear from that person's side of view to really get a good perspective, because Manti Te'o, being the biggest person that was involved, he was obviously involved. He spoke about it. He opened up about it. And the person that catfished him, those were the two main components, in my opinion. I think Tim Tebow would be an important aspect to this. Urban, they got obviously Seiler. Somebody who, may have been looking from the outside in. Another coach would be fantastic to hear about. Anybody that was kind of close friends. I'm sure they did their due diligence. The reason I'm telling you all this is, like, look, we should be excited for what is coming because of what they have put out thus far. There's other shows they put out. I haven't been able to see those, but the Manti Te'o one I thought they did a phenomenal job on, which excites me because I think who edits that who's a part of that is a big component on whether or not it's going to be a good story. I think they're already off to a hot start with August 23rd being the release date. That is 8 days before game 1 for Florida against Utah. What if it's a 7-show series? They usually release it all at once, but could you imagine they just release it one day at a time up to that first game? Hell of a marketing tactic. Phenomenal job. Right to get the season kicked off, to get you fired up for a great football season. Could it put Florida back on the map? Is it going to be one of those things that gets people kind of fired up? Like, man, Florida was like that once. But I think all in all, I think it'll come together and say, look, it was a hell of a football team. They did some crazy things, but we were able to get it done and win 2 national championships. Hopefully, Tim Tebow's part will be able to bring things back together. But let me know in the comments your excitement, what you're looking for, what you're hoping to see that maybe I left out in this new Netflix documentary series. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.